I'm sure we've all heard the phrase, self-praise is no praise at some point in our life. Maybe you've unwittingly even said to yourself at some stage, I know I did. Well, here's the thing, that phrase is pure out-of-date bullshit. If you're waiting for the world to praise or validate you, you're going to be waiting a long ass time, trust me. I've been there, I've wasted time, money, energy, basically a good chunk of my life waiting for people to tell me I'm good enough. And let's be honest, we all need validation. It's just part of being human. It's hard-coded into us from the dawn of time as a way to keep connected, safe and secure, going right back to our ancestor caveman days. We basically crave it. We use it for our relationships, to connect with people on a deeper level, figure people out, even bond with people. Your man's a bit of a prick, isn't he? Oh my God, he's such a dick. I'm really glad someone else thinks so too. So we basically use it to bond. But here's the thing, if you only ever rely on external validation, likes, praise, compliments, approval from others, agreement from others, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because what happens when that praise doesn't come, when the person doesn't agree with you or approve of what you're saying? What do you do then? So today let's talk about why your own personal praise for yourself is actually the only thing that matters when it comes to validation, self-validation, and how to start giving yourself the attention you need without feeling guilty, cringe, or bad about yourself for doing it. We'll discuss everything in relation to validation and self-praise, from the issues with seeking validation from others, why we don't praise or feel uneasy praising and validation ourselves, the types of people who are more likely to seek external praise, why they do it, how they get essentially burned out by it, and how to rise above it all and start basically championing ourselves. We all love a bit of validation from others. We do now, come on. Even if you don't, or even if you say it makes you squirm, I know deep down that is appreciated. A compliment, a pat on the back, well done from someone, especially someone we respect, can sometimes be just what you need. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It makes us feel good, it gives confidence in what you're doing, and it can go such a long way, particularly if you're not the most confident of people like myself. It can become a problem though if we get over-reliant on it and dependent on it. We may end up constantly chasing or painfully waiting for approval, praise and recognition that just may never come, like a hungry dog waiting for someone to throw him a freaking bone. And worst of all is we hand that power over to others by doing this. If no one praises us, we're assuming we're doing something wrong. If no one acknowledges our progress, we feel like we haven't actually made any. And that's why, as spoken in length by modern psychologists, self-validation is critical for mental health and well-being. That's why, as I said in the title of this video, self-praise is the only praise that actually counts. Because you're the only one who's with you all day, every day, 24/7. So you need to start being your own cheerleader and your own best friend. You need to look out for yourself, essentially. You need to be able to recognize your own growth, your own effort, your own wins, without just waiting for someone else to confirm it. Simple as that, really. But how do we even understand this when self-praising for most of us is alien, weird, and just plain cringy, especially as it's been drilled into us that self-praise is no praise? So let's look at where this wonderful phrase came from and why it's so widely used and adhered to right to this day for, I don't know, for whatever reasons. So the phrase self-praise is no praise appears to have its roots in traditional English proverbs, and it's been widely used in the United Kingdom, United States, Ireland, and a lot of other English-speaking nations. Similar beliefs exist in other cultures, reinforcing the idea that humility is a virtue and that self-importance and ego are socially frowned upon. Historically, societies that emphasize communal living, strict social hierarchies, or religious humility often promoted sayings that discourage self-praise. The notion aligns with values from Christian teachings, Confucian philosophy, and even Stoicism, all of which emphasize modesty, deference to external validations, and the dangers of excessive pride. In contemporary times, the phrase is commonly used in workplaces, social settings, even within families, to critique individuals perceived as overly self-promotional or egotistical. While it can be used humorously, it can also serve as a tool for social regulation. ensuring that individuals do not appear arrogant or overconceited and basically stay in their lane. So all well and good, but while the intention behind the phrase may be to encourage humility, it can also have unintended negative consequences, particularly people struggling with low self-esteem who may just be trying to validate themselves and not really know a better way of actually doing that. Like, have you ever noticed how much easier it is to compliment a friend or a family member, but when it comes to us, suddenly we go mute? It's very important to realize here that self-praise isn't about ego. It's vital for your mental health and for like healthy emotional regulation. If you never acknowledge your own wins and worths, you're always waiting for others to recognize you, and you constantly feel like you're failing or just not good enough. And some of us even use this feeling of inadequacy to fish for compliments, hoping that someone will pick up on it and give us a huge boost. For example, have you ever talked yourself down in front of a friend or in front of people hoping for a compliment? Like, oh God, I look a bit big in that photo, when you're looking at photos with friends and families when we actually know we look good. Just to get someone to say, oh no, you look fantastic. Or you might get like 80% in your exam, which is a really decent score, only to say, I'm so stupid. Should have got 100%. I should have worked harder. When in truth, you actually did plenty of prep and you did loads of study for your exam, and you're hoping your friend would say, sure, I only got 40%. You did really, really well. I killed to get twice as much like you as you did in your exam. And you didn't even study either. Wow, you're so clever. I wish I was clever like you. Or maybe you've just genuinely taught yourself down. Maybe you have put on a lot of weight and you know this yourself. Maybe you just feel really unhappy yourself and you just want someone else just to tell you that you're not as bad as you think you are. But the problem is here that it can backfire. You're leaving everything to the fate of the other person that you confide in. The other person responds, and if they do agree with your actual negative opinion, what the hell do you do then? What if they say, yeah, you do look big in that photo. Yeah, you should have gotten 100% in that exam, you idiot. What if they see what you're doing and say someone's fishing for compliments big time, or, now aren't you great? Self-praise is no praise. If they say this instantly, it'll make you feel like you're showing off and that what you've done isn't good enough. And it'll make you feel basically 10 times worse than you did before. So you've got to be careful when you praise seek, especially in this way, because you're not doing yourself any favors. You're putting yourself down for validation, and you're basically reinforcing the idea that your own opinion of yourself just frankly isn't good enough. Also, it's worth mentioning here that constantly expecting validation from others can be a bit unfair and mentally exhausting for the other person whom you're actually seeking validation from. People have their own shit going on. They have their own lives, their own struggles, and constantly tapping them for validation can be draining. And it's asking a lot of someone who might be just going through their own personal shit. So let's look at some profiles of people that are most vulnerable to the cycle of constantly seeking external validation, and chat about how they can stop, and just let me know if this resonates with you. Those with low self-esteem are particularly vulnerable. When you don't believe in your own word, naturally you look for others to fill that void. You crave that reassurance, that proof that you're good enough. This can be rooted in childhood experiences where validation may have been inconsistent or conditional. If you grew up feeling like you had to earn love or approval, you might just basically carry that pattern into adulthood. Next is people pleasers and codependents. They prioritize other people's opinions over their own. They're constantly seeking approval to avoid conflict and rejection. And finally, the social media generation. We live in a world where likes and follows are often equated with worth. This constant exposure to manufactured perfection can just fuel insecurity and the need for external validation too. So what can you do to break this cycle? Okay, first step is to cultivate some self-awareness. So you can start recognizing the patterns. Pay attention when you're seeking validation. Ask yourself why, maybe keep a journal to track these moments. Understand your triggers is basically the first key step to change. Practice some grounding techniques. When you feel the urge to seek external validation, try grounding exercises. Deep breathing works really, really well. Mindfulness, just focusing on your senses, can help you stay present and reduce anxiety, like naming 5 things you can hear, touch, taste, smell. Set some realistic self-validation goals. Start small. So instead of a grand gesture from someone else, set some daily validation goals for yourself. Write down one thing you're proud of each day, no matter how small. This helps flex your internal validation muscle. Even if it's something like as trivial as like handling a work email or going for a little walk, even though the weather's crap. Whatever. Challenge negative self-talk. When you catch yourself engaging in negative self-talk, challenge it. Ask yourself if it's really true or if you're being overly critical. See if you can reframe it and challenge it and just basically challenge those negative thoughts. Limit social media exposure. If social media triggers your need for validation, set up some boundaries. Limit your time, unfollow accounts that make you feel inadequate, and focus on real life connections. The amount of PTs that I've actually unfollowed is insane. I used to follow so many fitness influencers and it just made me feel worse, to be honest. And now I just follow athletes a bit more, mainly rugby players, because that's what I'm into, track and field athletes. It's just much more genuine. All right, so how do we actually start validating ourselves without feeling like a self-absorbed, egotistical dick? Don't just count on big moments and achievements to give yourself credit. Celebrate the simple, easy wins too. Like if you stuck to your routine that day, wrote down one sentence of that project or essay that you've been putting off for ages, said no to something that makes you feel drained, that's a win. And you need to just recognize that, give yourself a pat in the back. If your best friend made progress and did well, you tell them, well, most of you would anyway. You tell them that they did well. So start trying to do this for yourself. Next time you do something good, say to yourself, well done, I'm proud of you. It feels cringe, but man, it's so good. A lot of us seem to think we need to earn self-respect. Like, I'll celebrate when I reach my goal weight, or if I get that promotion, or have 1 million followers, but life just doesn't work like that, does it? And progress is progress, no matter how small. So you should praise yourself for your efforts, both big and both small. It's about progress, not perfection. Also, try some self-compassion. Modern psychological research, like Dr. Kristen Neff's work on self-compassion, highlights that self-kindness and recognizing one's own worth can significantly improve emotional well-being. I do it myself. It is class. It's revolutionary. I think everyone should try some self-compassion. And it never really is what you think it is. Write down one thing you did that day. It doesn't matter how small. Just get in the habit of acknowledging your own wins. This is a great way to just balance self-praise and humility, framing it as gratitude. So you could write down on a Google Doc or a spreadsheet, look back over at the end of the month and just see how far you've come along. So once you get good at self-praise, you stop needing external validation so much. You become immune to approval addiction. You do things because you want to. And when you don't need people telling you that you're good enough, you move differently, you talk differently, you take more risks. You're not afraid to fail because you know that even if no one else sees your efforts, you do. You've got your own back. So tell me, when was the last time you actually praised yourself for something, anything? Drop me a comment below with one win from today, no matter how big, how small. If you want more real talk on confidence, mindset, getting out of your own way, would really appreciate it. Subscribe. And remember, self-validation is not arrogance. It's self-care. And thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. And I'll catch you in the next one.